I thought I'd do a quick coda to what went wrong at the Battle of Back, since I finished by whining that I couldn't figure out how the ARVN could really compete. I forgot the first rule of thumb in all war games, which is there's always a way. It's usually something as simple as find the weak spot and exploit it. So in this game, we know that the NLF forces are stronger. They're more varied with the sappers and the heavy weapons and the snipers. They have the benefit of interior lines of communication and movement and superior terrain, and the burden of attack is on the ARVN. So it seems like they're impossible to beat. But there is one key. The key is here on the map. It's the hamlets. The NLF are forced to hold the hamlets because at any point that the ARVN enters a hamlet, takes control of it, that triggers the risk of an automatic withdrawal and essentially an end to the game. So that gives the ARVN the opportunity to inflict some damage and end the game at a point that they think is, most advantageous to them. So the setups will change from game to game because the NLF has basically free setup, but they're almost always going to be in these hamlets protecting them. We know that the ARVN Civil Guard starts down here in the south, and the reinforcements of the 11th Infantry enter here in the north. So those are two hamlets that are both possible targets for this strategy. Now there are some here on the middle eastern side, but they don't really lend themselves to easy access. So I think the plan will be pound this spot right here with artillery and airstrikes, move the Civil Guard into position into either one of these areas, 37 or 32, where they can lay fire on the village and then hopefully do enough damage that they can both trigger the withdrawal and have enough victory points to win. Now historically this was a terrible loss for the ARVN, so it shouldn't be easy for them to get any kind of victory. I think that's the plan I'm going to go with. So I'll try to knock out a few more games, see if this strategy pays off. At the very least, I'd like to get deeper into the game. The ARVN are so brittle, they just aren't able to inflict enough damage without, some pretty good luck in the airstrikes and artillery round attacks. So hopefully we'll have some better results and see what happens. So here's our first success. The Civil Guard have managed to penetrate into that village, ejecting 2 NLF units. The cost of a couple of reduced and 1 lost unit of their own. It was primarily through targeting that village with as much air power and artillery power as possible. Now the NLF are in kind of a tough spot. In order to counterattack, they have to cross into some open ground. And they don't like to do that. So now we'll see if we can bring the ARVN reinforcements in and really close the deal. This game finished the 4th turn, ending with an NLF forced withdrawal. You see the NLF finished with 12 victory points to the ARVN's 11. It was a very close game. Let's take a look at how the map finished up. Again, down here in the south, the Civil Guard had very good penetration into the areas. They forced back the NLF out of these villages here. See a lot of black stripes showing, those are casualties. The NLF was actually hit pretty hard down in the south. In the north, also some casualties, as the airstrikes and artillery were pretty potent and the reinforcements started to take their toll. See the lost units here. A sniper and some regular units. Only 2 losses for the ARVN. So another close game, but not quite a victory for the ARVN. Here we completed another game. See, we've got the game turn 7 here, almost to the very end, before we triggered the NLF withdrawal. This is actually 21 victory points for the NLF to 13 for the ARVN. So an NLF victory for sure, but the ARVN were very competitive, took it nearly to the end. Take a look at the map here. See, the ARVN cleared out the south quite a bit, occupied several villages, pushed the NLF into this corner here. Did not need to enter the mechanized cavalry or the airborne. Now, the NLF were able to withdraw several units out the flooded areas here, which is one of their keys to victory. Sappers and the heavy weapons, those yield a lot of victory points, so that helped a lot. Plus, holding on to the majority of the villages kind of pushed them far beyond the ARVN levels. But we see the ARVN lost some units, but inflicted a lot of casualties as well. But in the end, another NLF victory. But the ARVN is playing much better. I'm not sure if bringing in these reinforcements would help or hurt, since they award victory points to the NLF. But this is a game that should be hard for the ARVN to win. Historically, it was a huge NLF victory. Very disappointing for the ARVN. So I'm pretty satisfied with the way it's played out. So I think this will be our last game of this one for a little while.